We are going live. Going.
It's loading. It's loading. It might the power.
The power plug, yeah.
Nice.
That'll be better.
Ooh,
Yeah, all right,
worked.
better.
Hi!
Okay. Hey, everybody, I'm Alex. Welcome to Ritual Space Live. This is Heather and Steven with us, two of our regulars. And before we really dive into our topic conversation, talk about what's going on at Ritual Space. So we do have an event coming up on Friday, May 30th. It's called Yin and Pin. So it's a yin yoga class and acupuncture blend. So you come, you do yin yoga, and you get a little bit of acupuncture.
Love that.
Yeah, so that should be cool. Check it out. It's on the events page of our website. And then the only other thing I'm going to mention right now is next month we're doing a wellness event here on the property of the plaza. And it's going to be like just a full immersive mini wellness event, kind of like the Southwest Florida Wellness Fair, but smaller scale, in the evening, Friday, June 20th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then that night, we're also having a past life regression workshop in the studio. So cool stuff coming up. Check it all out on the website. You won't see the wellness event on the website, just
What's the
past life
website?
regression.
Ritual Space.
Oh, yeah. ritualwellnessspace.com.
Ritual Wellness Space.
But the event will be publicized on Instagram, right?
And it's on Facebook right now, and I'll share more stuff about it on Instagram continuously throughout. Oh, can you make events on Instagram?
No, but I mean, just like post about it.
Yeah, I'll post about it on Instagram.
Okay.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yay. Okay, so we have a fun conversation planned for tonight about intuitive development.
Yes, we are going to talk about intuitive development, which I feel like is a conversation that happens at Ritual Space very often
Wow.
because so many of us are opening up to more of what's out there and the possibilities and our abilities in this spiritual community. And I think it's just really important to talk about what superpowers we have beyond our five senses.
Yeah, I remember when I was first really getting into the idea of intuition, I was listening to a podcaster. I can't remember what her podcast was called, So You Think You're Intuitive.
Ooh.
And I don't think it exists anymore.
Oh,
I don't think it exists anymore. Maybe it does. I don't know. But and she just talked about her own experience with like discovering and developing her intuition. And I remember at the time being like, I have no idea how to do that. But like I've since gotten there.
You have.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I've heard the first time I heard about like intuitive development or what intuition was, it was like a few years ago, and I had no idea what they were talking about.
Really?
They also were talking about like psychic development, and I was like, I don't know. Does that mean like predicting the future? I had no idea what they were talking about,
Question mark.
but now I feel like I've gotten a little bit of an intro, and I think like learning to trust your intuition, like this inner knowing that you might have, is something that I'm kind of more familiar with. But still, I'm like, I don't know exactly what intuition is. So I'm curious, do you guys have like a definition?
So I've taught a lot of intuitive development classes. I do psychic mediumship. I've taught psychic mediumship. So let's start this way. What is, as far as you've found so far, what would you say is like a baseline definition of what intuition is?
I would probably something along the lines of having like this inner knowing. So it's not really like thinking about something. It's not like necessarily like the gut reaction that you might have like a feeling about, but it's kind of more colorful than that. Like it might paint a picture and you kind of can feel it or sense it or have some type of awareness around it. And I don't know exactly where that comes from, whether that's like in alignment with your beliefs or just kind of like putting the pieces together in some other type of way that your body is becoming aware of. But yeah, that's
I love all the ways that you put that.
Yeah.
That's more than just like surface level understanding. That's a lot of understanding right there.
Can we each talk about?
Yeah, I want to hear your base definition of intuition.
So I would say it's. I love inner knowing, but I think inner knowing is like a specific type of intuition, as where there are just different types of ways that people connect to their intuition or experience their intuition. So inner knowing would be one of them. But the base definition, I would say, is the ability to pick up on wisdom, either from within or from without, that is informative. And it doesn't come with an emotional attachment. like fear, for instance. I've had people try to tell me that fear is a form of intuition in the comments of my TikTok.
Oh, okay, TikTok.
And like, I won't get into that, but
We will get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into it later.
We'll get into it.
My base definition is that it doesn't come. It's this access to wisdom, information that doesn't come with any sort of emotional attachment to it. It's pretty neutral, and it's also super, super easy to dismiss. It's super easy to doubt yourself and be like, oh, I don't know if that's right. You know, it's pretty like, it's pretty soft and subtle and gentle. And it can come in multiple forms.
I want to add to that really quick, because I've actually given a somewhat similar answer, that it feels like gentle, but I've also had someone say that it felt really powerful to them inside. It's like a kind of like a yelling. So I wonder if people might have a different relationship or a different like way of picking up on their own intuition. Maybe not, but I just want to throw that out there.
Or depending on how aware and how often they allow it to come through, maybe it needs to come through stronger sometimes and softer other times.
Becoming more familiar with it, kind of like empowering it.
Yeah, I think for me, like when it's really loud is when there's usually fear attached to it, and that's when I know it's not intuition, because like
in its purest form,
right,
because fear is intermixed.
Right. So if it's really loud, then I know, oh, I have actually what I'm picking up on is a fear that I have, which could be wise
and good information to have, but not necessarily a fact.
Right.
Gotcha.
And not exactly.
Yes. And not necessarily something you need to act on, more something you need to sort through.
Yes.
Internally.
It's information for you.
Yes.
So that you can work and figure out like, okay, why is this coming up? It's exactly something to sort through. Really
what about my essence is afraid of this thing, and how can I empower myself to position myself in a way where maybe I'm catering to the fear to support myself, but not giving in to the fear to give it, fan that flame.
Yeah. It's like the difference between like, okay, I'm feeling a fear coming up around something that I want to do, and I'm going to listen to that fear and not do it because it must be telling me that I shouldn't do it, versus, okay, no, I have a fear coming up. Where's that fear coming from? What is it trying to tell me? Why is it there? And then like, what's the wisdom that's in all of the answers to that?
And I want to get to my base definition, but just on what you're saying, there's so many times where people will come to see me and I have this fear, this feeling, this intuition that my boyfriend's cheating on me. Tell me if my boyfriend's cheating on me.
Oh, God.
And it's kind of like, you can sort through the energy and feel things. I'm going to say most of the time it was no, but they were so sure because the fear was so strong. But in that situation, what that means is there's something internally not being shored up. Either there's an issue in the relationship that's not being addressed, or there's a past relationship where the energy is still strong. And really, step one is to go and meet that inner child that's afraid and find the way to support that inner child in their fear. And then usually it neutralizes the external fear. But if you don't do that work first, then you're going through their things and you're accusing them of things that they didn't do. And you are literally demolishing your own relationship that could totally just be fine. But people have fears. We're working through fears. And so it really is important. It's like central to the conversation of intuition to separate the fear from the intuition, because the fear can feel very, very strong.
Yeah,
totally. Actually, have a little story. That's really related to that. That before you give us your definition,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
I don't know.
So, it's that very same thing. Like intuition is gentle, fear is loud, right? When I was in college, I was dating this guy, and I didn't really like him, to be honest. I didn't want to start dating him, but he was persistent, so I
give him a shot.
I did. I agreed to it, and we dated for 7 months.
Been there,
right?
Been there.
And then, sure enough, because I wasn't super into him, although I liked the company and the comfort of having a partner, I started to like somebody else that I really liked, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta get my way out of this relationship. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to do that. And I just had this he's cheating on me. And I just knew, right? But I wasn't afraid. There was no fear. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna find evidence of it. Like I know exactly what to do, and I just kind of followed my little inklings, and I found the evidence exactly where I need to look, and I was able to call him out on it, and the relationship without being a bad guy.
The intuition.
And the relationship without being a bad guy. So that's a perfect example, and I have to pause for a second because I'm not seeing the microphone moving.
Okay.
So
Oh,
can
no.
you look on your phone? Because I couldn't, it's the
Yeah.
volume is all the way up and I was just trying to look at it and it's just not moving.
Uh-oh.
So I want to make sure if we need to restart, we can do
I'm
that.
checking on my phone right now.
Intermission.
Intermission.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're checking it out too?
Oh, I typed in YouTube. Ritual space.
YouTube.
That's a race.
YouTube.
It's a race. Just gonna do it first.
Because this was working before we got started. And we also cleansed the area and I did not get any ghosties when I was.
I'll get you some. Oops, that's the wrong one.
Oh, okay. So that one didn't delete yet then, the old one.
Oh no, I think I have to manually delete.
Oh, look,
Oh.
we're live and we're good.
We're all live. And I hear us.
Yeah, I hear us. We're live. We're good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Good
love that because like the way you explain that is it's very neutralized. So it's like almost best case scenario, he was cheating.
Mhm.
And that's what you got, the best case scenario.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
Right.
And that's how intuition works. We think that when we go to a psychic or when we tap into our intuition, our worst fears are going to be confirmed and the opposite is true. The worst fear in that situation was, I'm going to have to be with this person I don't like for more months.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be a bad guy.
Yeah, or I'm
And-
gonna have to be the bad guy. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I agreed to this relationship that I didn't really want, and now I have to like.
And the universe was like, nah, here you go. Which normally would be an absolute nightmare for so many people. But in your situation, it was exactly what was best for you. So I had a bug.
Yeah.
That was like a bubble actually, and I don't
Okay.
know where it came from.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think it was a little bubble. I saw it pop.
Who knows what is going on in this space at all times. Okay, so that is a really important story. I'm glad that you told that.
Yeah.
I think my base definition, and it's the reason why I call my business Claire Consulting, is because intuition is sensing beyond the five senses. Is kind of how I
That's a good one.
approach it. So it's all the clairs, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairvoyance, all of it. And it's the way, when you think of it as sensing beyond, it helps to neutralize that, because anything in the universe is, anything manifested was thought and emotion made physical in action. Thought, emotion, then made physical in action. And the universe says yes to whatever that is. So the universe doesn't have an opinion of what you should be creating in your action. It just says, yes, let's do that. You're afraid? Let's do that. You don't want to be the bad guy? Got you. Let's create another situation where there's a different situation. And so I think when people are developing their intuition, another way to think of it is like the chakra system is so helpful for organizing energy. And I would say that fear almost relates to that gut instinct and that sacral and the root and everything. And the energy of intuition flows all the way up and out your crown, right? And I think that when something is an intuitive hit, you feel it in an open way from your root all the way up to your crown. If it stops in your heart, like if it makes your heart tighten, there might be some fear there too. If it makes your throat tighten, there might be some anxiety going on. I think a lot of people confuse it for third eye, and you do have to open your third eye in your mind, because that is your brain. Your mind is your receiver. It's part of the whole body, which is a receiver of what spirit has to give, and the intuition, the ultimate energy of the universe, consciousness, even. I think you can call it consciousness. But I really love this story. I was listening actually today to this podcast by Michael Singer, who
Nice.
I love his book, The Untethered Soul. And he was relaying the story of when Charles Darwin received the idea of natural selection. It was like a bolt of inspiration. He had researched, he had studied, he knew science, so his mind was engaged. And he was in a state of receiving the information in the lightning bolt, and it all just was like natural selection.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Then his mind took that information and wrote down the books and laid out the whole thing. But the intuitive hit was the inspiration of the natural selection. And he had prepared himself because he was just going about his day, kind of enjoying and puttering around. And he had prepared himself to receive that inspiration. So I would say that intuition is what you receive when you are, I mean, in any kind of meditative state where it's almost like contentment or breath. It's the ease of the inhale and the pause before the exhale. It's being in a state of almost flow or pause, and then you'll receive that information, and then what you do with it then is the chakra system. Is your mind will create it, or it will say, voice, you need to sing this song about the sun because it is great, or you will act it out around you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That, like, oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think that the more you prime yourself to receive, like what you're saying in like meditative state and stuff, like the more that clearly you're gonna get messages.
Mhm.
But I think sometimes they just come too.
Yeah.
Like when you're just like in a moment of whatever, sitting on an
Flow.
airplane or
Yeah.
getting ready to leave the house. For me, sometimes inner knowing, intuition comes through like just a quick moment in between a breath, maybe,
Yes.
and that's when it's easiest for me to dismiss and be like, eh.
Totally, because the world is going on around you, and you're like,
Yeah.
moving on.
It's like there's a couple words that kind of pop up for me. It's like noticing,
Mhm.
and then you're talking about like this kind of this stillness and like being in a receptive state, kind of. Those seem to like make sense for me. Like noticing what comes up, like noticing that the intuition is there and you're inspired by it or whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like allowing it in.
Which is why I always say if somebody is trying to deepen their intuition and understand more about what's going on with their intuition, I always say set up a time, a beginning and end where you are meditating so that you can practice what that feels like to have a clear mind so that you don't question it as much, or you're not like in the middle of other things going on and you kind of lose your train of thought or get distracted.
Yeah, like it's like meditating is like allowing clouds to go by, but just like thoughts are kind of going by and they come in, and then you see them and you kind of like let them float, let them go by. Like I've just heard meditating be described that way.
I love that description.
Yeah.
And I like that for finding out intuition because it's so easy to think that your intuition is your thoughts. But when you're in that mind, your thoughts are so creative. Your brain is endlessly, infinitely creative, and it can come up with so many ways to interpret what you're getting. And so if you are your thoughts or your thoughts are intuition, if it's too close together, you'll go on this wild goose chase of not knowing what to trust. So you have to develop the sense of intuition is not my thoughts. It's almost intuition is inspiration. And it doesn't feel bad and it doesn't feel good. It feels open almost.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, there was something there.
That's okay. We've had a few distractions.
Got some visitors.
We're focused.
It's cool. Yeah, I think that depending on here
Openness.
Found it. So the idea of like trying to think, right? Like so if you're trying to like think your way out of something, like if you're like, okay, like let's say you're like, I have this problem, like I needed to be able to break up with this boyfriend, for instance. And I went into let me think about it and figure out how I'm gonna do it, then that would have been me creating thoughts. Versus I kind of just like was like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. And what should I do? And then I didn't try to think about it. It just came, right? It was like, it arrived. And I
Right.
think that's the difference, right? It's
Yeah.
like thinking and trying to figure something out is you going there
Mhm.
versus letting something arrive.
Yeah.
But there can be such a subtle difference too,
Yeah.
because it's easy to think that you arrived at something. But like if you can't trace the thought pattern, the thought train, you know how you have thought trains, right? And you can kind of trace how'd you get to that thought, like where'd you start? You can kind of, if there's no, I think like if there's no train to follow backwards,
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, then that
Because
might
we were
be-
just saying, like, in meditation, you have to know the difference between I'm thinking thoughts and my mind is clear. You have to know the difference between what it feels like when your thoughts are in charge
okay.
and when your openness
Yeah.
is happening. But that's a really good way to put it. Can you remember the thought pattern that got you there?
Yeah.
And going back to meditation again, being present, just like really present. Like there's like one present moment, which is the now moment. And when you're really tapped into that, you're not like, whenever you're in your thoughts, you're kind of going into the future or the past. So you're not really truly present.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being like physically really present, it kind of clears that space and makes you available too.
Mhm.
Maybe meditation is a
Really?
good practice of becoming available to
Mm,
intuition.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yes.
look at that base definition. I love that definition of
There we go.
meditation. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think that basically we're hinting at there's an openness, there's a presence, there's a receiving. And it's not, intuition isn't an active process, it's a receiving process. And I think it's beneficial. I mean, I was like, cool, intuition, I'm gonna be a psychic. Like, I think I took it like really far, but I think there's a lot of benefits of being able to understand your intuition because it's not something that only a few of us have. We all have that. And I really love the way people explain when you are meditating and you are at a certain vibration. And a lot of times people measure that vibration by emotion. So we have like when we're in fear and we're in anger, we're in sadness, that has a vibration. When we're in joy and openness, and that has a vibration as well. And really, when we are on a certain level, we are receiving information all the time.
Mhm.
I think. Okay, so
there's yeah, I feel like I know where you're going at. Or it's
I was
making me
thinking
think
of an
something.
example, but go. Yeah.
So like when to be in the vibration of receiving, like there's vibrations that are kind of like aligned with that. So one that I think of is gratitude.
Yes.
To be in gratitude is to be in the vibration of receiving. So when you connect with the feeling of gratitude and you think of something you're grateful for, and not just something that you know you should be grateful for,
Right.
like the food on my table, like, you know,
Like,
oh,
genuine.
I'm so grateful, you know.
Yeah.
But actually feeling it.
Yeah, right. But like feeling that gratitude, like, oh, you know, maybe you're someone who has experienced not having food on the table, and like, so having food on
Right.
the table does feel really grateful
Yeah,
for you. As
yeah.
where, you know, this is a bad example. Anyway,
No, that is a good example. That is a great example.
so but you don't just think, oh, I'm grateful. You feel it in your body, and when you feel it in your body and you bring that sensation into your body, you are vibrating at the level of receiving.
Yeah. Right. In fact, if I'm in like a really tough spot, I will not do a reading. I will not tap in. I will not try to get a message. I will try to sort in, do that inner child work of what's going on internally. What do I need to shore up? How do I need to show up for myself? And once I do that, then I'll tap in. And I do think that like you can learn to do that quickly. So if I know I have a session coming up and I might have some things, I have a process of breath, and I just say I use breath to access the highest vibration that I can possibly access right now. And that will kind of put me there when I've practiced that. But I really, if something is like an intuitive hit and it causes fear, makes you cry, that is not intuition.
Yeah.
So I think it's like that's
inner work. That's something powerful too, right?
Yeah.
It's, oh, I just connected with something that's important for me to acknowledge within
It
myself.
still has a message for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's not it's exactly like we were talking about with the fear. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is something that I need to explore, that I need
Yeah.
to excavate. I need to dive into this. What is this?
And notice where your hand is when you're doing that. And that's what I mean by like the chakra system. It's like, this is hurting my heart. Like I'm feeling this fear. It's hurting my heart. I might be like collapsing in my shoulders a little bit even.
Yeah.
And this isn't what intuition feels like. It's
Yeah.
not going to feel like that.
It reminds
It's
me of
expansive.
samskaras, like the little
Yes.
things that are like maybe trauma based or some type of resistance that you feel or fear or whatever that is.
Mhm.
That like it wants to be seen and heard, so that it can be processed and then kind of just let go, let it free. It wants to be free.
And the reason that it repeats in your life is because you're not acknowledging and processing it, right? So
Right.
samskara will show up again and again, and it's like a little hurt, it's like a little pain or a pattern, right?
Yeah.
It'll show up again and again and again, and you'll keep coming up against it and like being
Yeah.
like, oh, this is so annoying, unless
Mhm.
you dig into it.
Yeah,
And you're like,
go
what
right
is
into it.
this? Yeah.
You have to feel
What
it.
do I need to look at? What do I need to see? What do I need to
Yeah.
feel?
Mhm.
What part of me is being ignored?
And I think that, so when you're in a strong sense of emotion, you might not be accessing your intuition. But I also think that intuition itself does have a feeling to it. It is expansive, it is open, it is gratitude, it is really that bliss. That is the backdrop of everything, love, divine love. And I think that it's almost like while the universe does have neutrality with our choices and decisions of what we create with our thoughts and our emotions, the backdrop of all of it is just love at the same time. So it will feel like bubbles, and I mean maybe that's why I had a bubble on me earlier. It will feel like chills. You will register chills when you get, when something resonates with you on an expanded level. There will be feelings associated with it.
Yeah.
They're going to be neutral to positive.
Yeah. Usually I think when I like know that I'm on track with something, I'm like, oh yeah. It's like I can relax into it, you know?
Yeah, a relaxation.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes. I can like,
Yeah.
oh,
I
okay.
have a different experience for some of my like downloads is probably the wrong word, but just like a shift in perspective. If it's really rapid, sometimes I'll feel beyond a dizzy and into nausea a little bit because it feels like my whole nervous system just shifted. And I'm almost like a different person. And it's like a really powerful bodily feeling.
I've felt that like, wow. It's like when you're playing a video game and you like totally change the perspective of your character or something, and almost like shifts.
It's like a gong.
Yeah.
It's like a deep,
Oh,
feeling.
interesting.
Timeline shift.
I don't think I've ever experienced that, but I do often experience intuition in my body. And for me personally,
Yeah.
my intuition is strongest when I get into my body. Like when I'm in my body, when I'm like very present and aware of my body.
And just feeling the sensations physically in your body.
Yep. And then like, I think for me, because, well, and this is now, I don't know, because we're talking about intuition in like a broad spectrum, broad
sense.
Yeah, broad sense. So I don't know if we want to talk like a little bit more about like individual experiences of intuition and what that might look like, and just how it's different for different people.
Yeah.
And we tried to talk about this actually in our last episode,
Yeah.
but
No sound. Have to redo it.
Yeah, no sound. So like for me, if I think I receive intuition multiple ways. One is this inner knowing that we were kind of talking about. It's like I just know something, and so that's what happened when I knew that this person was cheating on me. It's happened to me so many times in my everyday life. One time I saw a pair of white pants that I had on the floor in the bedroom. I was like, I should pick those up. But I didn't. And when I came home, one of the dogs had peed on them.
You knew.
I don't know why. It's so weird. Anyway, so like sometimes it's just like a knowing. It's like I know something and I can either choose to listen to it or not listen to it.
Right.
Most of the time I choose not to listen to it,
Yeah.
full disclosure, because it's like so passing.
Yeah.
And then for me, those types of intuitive hits often fuel my creativity. So they're not always just like practical everyday life things, but a lot of times it's like something that comes in And I'm like, and I remember before I was really connected to my intuition, I just thought it was a creative idea for like writing a story or whatever as a writer, right? Like, oh, I just got a new novel idea. But really it was like an intuitive download. It was like a wisdom, it was like a truth that I was like picking up that I then wanted to turn into a creative project. Or even the wellness fair for me was like an intuitive download. It was like it felt very much like this is needed right now. And I'm being directed to do it.
And what came
Yeah.
from that was such a beautiful, expansive community connecting thing.
Yeah.
So many good things came out of that.
Yeah.
And I think, just to hone in on that, I think the reason why we have to not give into our fear and call that intuition is because we are powerful and our fear is telling us that we're not. And if we take action in that, it's going to be so small. It's going to be so puny. Versus when we take action from our intuition in that type of a state, it becomes something that can be just giving. Just like that intuitive hit was a continually giving thing for so many people,
Yeah.
and still is.
I forget exactly how you phrased it at the very end, but almost like being a servant to the universe. Like it kind of whispers to you
It directed
what's
me.
ready
Yeah.
to happen. to
I
come into
really
reality.
love that
Mhm.
phrase that
Yeah.
you just used.
Yeah.
That feels so good. That hits my intuition.
Yeah.
I love that phrase. Say it again.
Being a servant of the universe, I think is what I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that feels like
Co-creation.
the energy that you were allowing to flow through you.
Yeah.
And then that's where it's like, for me, I start going to like the ideas of like non-duality and like what reality really is.
Mhm.
But your ego kind of goes away. It's not about serving yourself anymore. It's about like being a part of something bigger.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
it is serving yourself to be a part of something bigger. That's the
Yeah.
feedback loop.
Yeah,
But
it's
there's
like-
not ego involved in it. It's
No.
not like, oh, I've got this great idea and it's going to be such a huge hit and I'm going to be the best and whatever. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like that. It's more like, oh shit, this idea is coming. I need to like write it down like right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like coming so fast.
It takes hold.
I've got to get like all of this out and like figure it out. And I just can't help but like immediately start working on it without even thinking about what it's going to look like or how it's going to come to be. I'm
Yeah.
just following the steps. The wellness fair, that's how it was started with an inspiration at an event. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I feel like I could do something like this. And that was it. And then like I went home. A couple days later, I woke up in the middle of the night, literally like
Nice.
bursting with ideas. And I couldn't go back to sleep. I needed to get up and write all of them down. Just all of the ideas for like what this event that I was going to put on was going to look like, who it was going to cater to, you know, what types of people I wanted involved. It was just all those details coming to me out of
Yeah.
my sleep.
Yeah.
It takes you over.
Yeah. What is it called? Like automatic writing,
Mhm.
where you, like the words are being written through you.
Yeah.
Like that. There's like something there with like downloads and automatic writing that's like very related, if not the same.
I think that for me, writing is very intuitive. I always have felt I write so much better, smarter, clearer than I speak. And I think it's because a lot of the time when I'm writing, I'm just channeling.
And you are writing a novel. You're in the middle of writing a novel
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah,
right?
actually.
So you would know.
I was
You're
just saying,
practicing this a lot.
I just finished the edits and sent it off to my editor.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
my first round of edits, and then now my editor will.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm super excited.
That is exciting.
But the idea for this novel was an intuitive download also, and it was on an airplane. That's why I brought that up. And I just had this like moment of like, it's kind of it's a little embarrassing, right? Because I mean, I was traveling and I was just like, oh, like a handsome guy is gonna sit next to me.
Yeah.
I just like knew that
A
was
little
gonna happen,
romantic.
right? I mean, I'm
fantasy.
married. I was not looking for that, but I had
Yeah.
that like just moment, and
A romantic life. Like, yeah.
yeah,
I see why.
yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, weird. And sure enough, a guy came and he had, and it wasn't just that he was like a handsome guy. It was something about his energy that felt so inspiring to me. And he sat next to me. We chatted for like 5 minutes. He put his headphones in, fell asleep, and you know, that was that. That was it. It was nothing. But the first like scene that I wrote from my novel ended up being like a little romance scene between a character based off of him and then a female character. That I
Oh my
developed.
gosh, he came and probably had no idea.
Yeah.
That he inspired an entire
Yeah,
novel.
yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I really do admire, like, you have to have an ear to the universe. You have to be listening. You are somebody who is so expanded and open and protects your energy so that you can be expanded and open. And those are the types of things that come when you are willing to be available to that energy.
And that came with lots of hard work and practice because
Yeah.
I did not use my energy didn't used to be available to that kind of stuff because my energy was always available to people who needed my energy.
You didn't have the boundaries to
Right.
protect it.
Right, right.
Yeah, there's something about it reminds me of the Celestine prophecy, I think is how you say it, the book.
Yeah.
And just like magical synchronicities happen with the characters who are living magical lives. And
Yeah.
just like really cool things are happening.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something I feel that happens for certain people who are open to it.
I 100% feel that. That's how my life unfolds.
Yeah.
And that's like what the novel is kind of about. And that's like what I'm starting to feel like I want to niche down my personal work into is
Nice.
working with people to help them learn how to cultivate that kind of relationship with the universe where magic just unfolds for them because they're trusting their heart, because they're protecting their heart and trusting their heart and like living from a heart-centered place.
And not giving in to that fear.
right.
And
Yeah.
not giving in to
I
that.
feel like there's something so factual about that possible way of life
Mhm.
too, because I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like the numbers were on the clock, it's like 111. You might see that frequently.
Mhm.
For me, there was a period where I was like seeing New York license plates on cars, which are like the yellow ones.
Oh yeah.
And I would see them like every single day.
Mm.
That was just a period for like a few months. And then it stopped because I stopped thinking about New York license plates on cars. But it's like being open and available to certain things and then just like noticing,
Mhm.
like just noticing
Yeah.
the things that you're putting in
Yes.
What you're bringing up
awareness
is a good point because it's like synchronicity is that language of intuition. It's just that the synchronicity becomes more useful than New York license
Yeah.
plates. But
It's
that's like a
dominoes.
gateway. Yeah, dominoes.
They get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're like living this life where like things are showing up into your life that's like radically changing your life, or like it's someone gives you $10,000
Right.
or like pays, I don't know what it is, gives you a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like
right.
you get this business partner that like unfolds your business in this certain
It's
way.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And it's
these
easy.
things just kind of start flowing.
They
more.
find their way into your life.
So, and I see we have some questions here, and one of them is intuition only a positive feeling? And I think, back to what we were saying, it is going to be an open, expanded feeling. But I think when you are able to put boundaries around it, really hone in on it, really separate your fears and the things that are making you seem like you're not powerful, because we're all divine beings connected to the energy of all that is, and our fears are telling us that we're not. So when we can sort through that and know the difference between what our intuition is and what our human cycles are and our samskaras and all those things, then we can actually ride this wave of magic and be available for, I know this person's going to sit down next to me on a plane, and it was a message that spurred on something so expansive. Today you sent your edits away for that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of synchronicity that really has that depth of meaning, and really I think is the way we're meant to experience life. We just we get blocked from it.
So I agree.
And I think that intuition can come with fear or negative feelings, right? Like and when I say that, I mean it's like you have an intuitive hit and then you get scared and you choose not to do it because your fears are getting in the way. So
The blockage.
your fears can come up with your intuition, or negative feelings can come up with your intuition if there's work that needs to be
To
done,
be done.
right? So, but in general, intuition is not here to scare you or to tell you something negative or to like play into like something that is a fear of yours. It's here to help you expand.
To
it's your
move
choice.
out of the fear into your power. It's always going to call you into your power, and yes, sometimes that is fearful.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can like even share an example for that for me too. It's like I often feel like, oh, I have stuff that I need to share. I have like messages, things that I need to say. And so I'll get on social media and I'll just share it, right?
Yeah.
But then I'll start to have this fear that comes up of like, oh, what if people think I'm stupid, or what if people don't resonate with what I'm saying, or what
Yeah.
if people challenge me
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
go against me, and now I have to like try to like protect. Now it's like a new thing of having to protect my boundaries again and whatever, and so there's fear that comes up with it that might make me choose not to do it.
Yeah. The way I have like a visualization of what that feels like personally for me,
Mhm.
feels like walking backwards.
Moonwalking.
So yeah.
Kind of.
So you're like walking backwards, meaning you can't
Yeah.
see where you're going.
Okay.
And
Just
then
walking
you can
backwards.
see what is behind you, because it's like samskaras that you just experienced that you're like letting go of, or whatever it is that you're creating. It's like kind of there in the past. So for me, it feels like trusting the universe, walking backwards, and then things come to you, and then you like do them. But it's like very, yeah. I've been
I think that's
feeling
a
that way
beautiful
for a while.
image.
Like I'm walking backwards. Yeah.
There are
Mm.
places in my life where I feel that way
It's like
too.
the Fool card. That feels like the Fool card to me if we're like coming into tarot now, right? Like it's like not worrying about what you're moving towards if you're walking backwards, right? It's just worrying about
You can see what you
experience of
just
it. Yeah.
experienced.
That it's
Yeah.
a new day, it's a new experience.
Mhm.
Yeah. And do you have any published books?
No.
This is your first one, right?
It's going to an editor, and then there's still a whole process of trying to get it published, you know.
Getting it published. So you're
But
mid-process.
I've written more than one book, but the first one I didn't even try to get published because
That was for you.
it was just like when I was really young and I let my fear get in the way, and rather than trying to get through editing it, when I started trying to edit it, I was like, wow, this thing sucks.
Yeah, you're
And
it was part of your
I
process.
put it on the shelf and I said, no.
No deal.
Yeah. And let my fear stop
I've
me.
had that experience
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So how would you say you experience your intuition?
My intuition.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I kind of relate to, like you were talking about, like the creative inspiration a little bit. For me, I kind of energetically open or become available at night. So I'll wake up a lot, or like as I'm falling asleep, I'm like getting this information that I'm just like writing, just flowing out. I think I've written like 200 pages or more in the last like 6 months of all of just things that have flown out of me.
It's the automatic writing.
Yeah. So like writing automatically. And that's like about like awareness around my own personal life, or like reality, or like creative pursuits and things like that. It's all just, it's like in that realm. So there's that. And then the project I'm working on right now is called Helix, the thing I mentioned, secretively.
Yeah.
Your secret project.
Secret, not secret.
Yeah.
Broadcast
Everyone
into the
knows.
world.
But the way that kind of is unfolding is like me and my co-founder, we kind of have a similar way of building things, which is we kind of wait, or not wait, but like we witness what arrives in the moment instead of trying to like make a plan and control it and make it rigid.
Love.
We're just processing. So over the last like 3 days, I kind of had like this not constant, but like this download that was happening over a few days of just like the new direction that we're going after this first like stage completed. And yeah, so it just, I didn't plan it, I didn't know, but now it's all like available information for me. And I have like this whole vision that I've written down and everything, and yeah, talked about it today.
I like what you're saying about not needing a plan and letting it come in the moment, because I think when you're tapped into the intuition and you've learned how to become a receiver to the universe and you're riding that wave of synchronicity and inspiration, one of the blocks that I think gets me a lot, I'll be honest, is so I should know where this is going and where this is going next. And there are a lot of times where it's not time to know. And I have like long-term projects and long-term goals. And usually the reason why things might be delayed is to sort out some of the fears around it so that it's moving forward in a more of a pure intuitive sense than bringing your fears along with you, because that gets heavy.
Yeah.
That is a low vibration. You're not going to be able to move as easily and as quickly. And it can be a little defeating when you know that you're tapped in and you know something is here for me. I know I'm supposed to be receiving something, but I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting.
Yeah, letting go of the waiting is the thing that ChatGPT has told me that I need to start doing.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
That's it. Instead of waiting, just like being.
Yeah.
I'm here.
So I this is making me think of something else too about like
I'm ready.
I like that.
I'm ready.
listening to your heart, right? And being connected and being open, right? So you might like have this download or this idea or this desire, like I want to co-create this thing with the universe.
Mhm.
And you choose not to let fear get in the way and you choose to follow that like heart-led decision.
Mhm.
And then maybe it doesn't work out how you wanted it to. But because you chose to follow it, it opened up other things that you didn't know you wanted that were beautiful and amazing and magical in your life.
Or even lessons that you learned that were a challenge to get through.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah.
you evolved through the
But
process.
you're
Yeah.
expanded after as a result of having gotten through those challenges.
Yeah, I think when you say co-create, that like I got a little bit of a energy zing on that word, because I think sometimes what happens is we're like, yeah, we're gonna co-create with the energy of all that is, and so do it the way I want to do it, and we're gonna go this way, and I'm in control, and I think that is a big reason why I get twisted and turned. It's like, okay, I like this, let's go this way, and then it's like I wander off into this metaphorical forest where I'm like, I don't know where the way is. Where is the way? Where did the path go? Where am I finding myself? And it's about being called back to the path of alignment. Because we haven't said that word alignment yet. But if I had to like summarize intuition down into one word, that's what it is alignment. And so anytime there's a feeling of something's not quite right, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not the intuition. It just means that you're not aligned with the intuition yet. Your gut instinct isn't there. Your heart might be hurting. Your voice might be closing up. I go back to the chakra system because it just organizes the energy so well, and our receivers that are our bodies.
Yeah.
It's giving me a visual that
Me too. I was just like in this world. You were definitely painting pictures.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
yeah. It's like I'm thinking of like timelines, right? And just as a comparison, but a visual too. If you think of like a timeline, like in all of the shows and movies that talk about timelines now, it's a straight line, and then there's like branches of different timelines, right?
Mhm.
And like this timeline is your aligned timeline. So all of the things are going to come, right? They're going to come through. Or you could even think of it again, like as that chakra system as your timeline, right? But if things are all out of whack and you're going out in branches and different timelines and you're not aligned and you're not like receiving the things that you could be receiving if you just were on that aligned timeline.
Yeah, I have a good answer for it. I forget what you said just a second ago, but for me, it feels much slower when I'm on the aligned timeline, or what I think is the aligned timeline.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing that I just realized was like, because I was going out and doing my own thing, it wasn't working, going on all these little paths that we're talking about, and it goes really fast. It's like, oh, I'm doing things. I'm like, whatever, I'm moving. I'm like inspired, like whatever. I don't know, creating these things that I'm like really controlling a lot of the time too.
Yeah.
But then when you're like on the aligned path, it's the straight path. It's shorter. Just by design, it's like shorter.
Yeah.
It's not like this where it's fast.
Yeah.
So being like not waiting, like when you're on the aligned path, you might have a tendency to feel like you're just waiting around because it's shorter. It's just that. So if you can get over the waiting, like just get rid of that resistance.
The idea that you're waiting.
Yeah. Then you can receive the things that the alignment is giving you.
Yeah.
Then it's like for me, the hard part is not feeling like I'm waiting.
It's
because
like
it's shorter.
Not being in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like that's what's I hear the word waiting, and for me it's resonating as not being in a hurry, because I am always in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a hurry, then I feel like I'm waiting.
Yeah.
But if I'm not in a hurry, then I'm not waiting, because I'm not in a hurry. I'm not trying to get somewhere. Right?
I definitely think I like the way you phrase that. And I think I'm going to need to ground into that idea of like waiting versus being aligned, because I think also like alignment, you get snapped into alignment all day, like when you're not even thinking about it, when you're just like rummaging through the cabinets or, organizing a junk drawer or something, because you get in states of flow where you can receive. We all do this. We all have the intuition, even when we don't understand, that it's coming or if we should trust it or not. But
meditative activities, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
like
meditative activities, going for a run,
cleaning, getting ready. Like, you know,
Mhm.
if there's something that you do regularly, it can be a meditative activity too.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah. Moving meditation for sure.
Yeah.
sorry, I
No, but I
didn't
think
mark your flow.
no, you're good. I think that idea of waiting, I think that there's areas where it's like I hop into alignment so quick. Like, time for the alignment, let's go. Boom, we're here. And I feel aligned and I can, like when I channel, like I could pretty much, you know, if I'm in the right environment, I could breathe and clear and start channeling. But if I'm, you know, in the middle of traffic and I'm trying to get somewhere, or I'm trying to sort through something or figure something out. When I'm figuring something out, and I find myself in that space a lot, I'm trying to figure things out. That's when I need to remember, like, what are you waiting for
Mhm.
that you already have,
Yeah.
and get back into that
Yeah.
being.
Yeah, it's almost like
Receptive.
when you're waiting for the alignment, yeah, it doesn't come. But if you're not waiting for it, it's already there.
Then you wake up in the middle of the night and you write it down.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
You open yourself
which
energetic.
feels so frustrating because we want to have a level of control over
Yeah.
it, right? But that's the thing about intuition, it's not to be controlled.
Right, because the control we have, the free will even that we have, is what we do with everything and anything.
Mhm.
You can't really control externally. It's you can control what we do with it. I can go like that, but this was made. I didn't make this. I didn't even put it here. So you want to put it there. So there's so much that's out of your control, and we know, I think, internally that we are powerful.
Yeah.
So we think that we should be in control. And maybe we are connected to what is as powerful as it gets.
Yeah.
So we have that memory at the core of our being. But in these focused human bodies, we're here to be flowing with that and receiving.
I just love this. I just want to talk about this, right? It's like, you know, you want something and you think that you have to be the one to do it and make it happen. On this evening, you wanted tea and you
I
didn't
did.
have to get it.
I
It came,
didn't.
you received it, right?
I totally received this tea entirely. And it
Right.
felt great. It was so nice.
And that's how I feel about this podcast. I have been wanting to start a podcast. I've tried taking control so many times doing it and not gotten anywhere with it. And then this podcast was given to me by someone else, essentially.
Yeah.
Someone who came in, Heather,
Yeah.
and was like, let's do a podcast.
We're doing
and
it.
just like made it happen. And now here it is. And now we have this.
And it was effortless. It was just like, guess what we're gonna do?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was the intuitive hit, and the action you take on it, like, is entirely effortless. There's nothing about getting here and talking and setting. There's nothing about it that feels arduous. I don't dread anything.
We were already doing it just without the recording materials.
We had
right?
already
We
been
were just
prepping.
hanging out, chatting, and then we just added in the recording materials.
And it was a perfect
Yeah.
unfolding.
There's something that this phrase keeps on popping up for me too. Some things just keep popping up.
I love it.
But it's play is the highest form of wisdom. I don't know if I've said that around here, but
I feel like we were talking about that.
but that's exactly the energy of play, in my opinion. Like you have your tea brought to you by
In the
Alex.
cutest mug.
yeah, and she brought the podcast here, like
Yeah.
made it a thing.
Yeah.
And like that's just like playing. Like it took no effort. It was just pure enjoyment. And it's just like presence and like having fun and like allowing things to happen and that are awesome.
Yeah.
That's riding the wave.
I love it.
Yeah.
Riding the wave of intuition and the benefits it can give you.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the power of like connection and community as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can't do it all on your own. And when you put yourself into connection and community, it opens you up to receiving more. Right?
Yeah. Honestly, and it's so much more fun. I have also started multiple podcasts and with my fire energy, Leo energy, and did not go anywhere, and it felt like pushing a boulder up a mountain. So I think that is a really good point, that when you have a community of people who are also doing the work of addressing their humanness and opening up to the universe, like the things that can happen. I mean, this space is just an example of that.
Yeah. And this space is another thing that when I was in a state of alignment and things were just coming to me, and it was like a very fast time of my life.
Mhm.
I had just landed back in town from traveling, which was something that I did followed my heart, right? And it
Mhm.
opened up. All of a sudden, I had the opportunity to take over the yoga studio, and I was taking over the yoga studio, and I was doing that. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the space next door was available, and I could like move into there too.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, the space next door was available, and it just
Yeah.
things were just happening, and they were just moving, and it was easy, right?
Easy.
Yeah.
And then I got bogged down a little bit by like trying to control how things were gonna be, and that took me out of the alignment.
I really think that is something to talk about here, and we have just a few minutes, but sometimes when you do get the intuition and you start going for it, it can feel really upsetting when the thing that was intuitive at first is like not working like it once did. And you have to stop and sit and sort and wait. It feels the waiting, and it feels really, but it felt so good. So you know it's something, but it's almost like if you think of intuition as like a wave you're surfing. Sometimes you get behind and it kind of collapses on top of you, right? You can't necessarily surf that wave forever. You've got to pause and then go catch another wave and then ride that one in. And it could be the same like ritual space wave, but it's two different versions of it. It's two different like iterations of the intuition, and you have to let it kind of peter out and then go see what the next wave is that you can follow in. And that can feel like I'm doing something wrong because what felt so good now just is kind of like tangled, and this happens to me all the time. And it can really feel like, man, what did I do? And you can kind of get down on yourself, which is another block, another samskara, and then you got to sort that out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a process, but I think when we can give ourselves grace and realize that another wave is coming, and we don't have to figure out how, we just have to get back into that space of receiving, that meditative open space.
Well, and I think yes, 100%. But I think too, what can happen is if you have this idea specific in your head and wanting to control and wanting things to look a certain way, you can not even realize that you're still on the wave because you're so
Totally true.
like expecting it to be different. You're just thinking like, oh, this is supposed to be like this huge wave that I'm like, whatever. But I'm like still up, I'm still floating, I'm still here, I'm still going forward, right? There's still things happening.
Progress.
I'm just not
Yeah.
realizing that I'm still riding the wave because I'm expecting it to look different than what it looks like.
Really
Yeah.
really good point.
That's like self-sabotage when you hit your upper limit.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm.
And then also, how many? We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
So we can end on a positive note, but this is more like a neutral note.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wave might take you in a direction that you didn't expect, and like not grasping for the original wave, and just kind of
Yes.
just going with where you know is the new way.
Well, it's catch and release.
Yeah.
So even like we have to let our fear move through us. We have to feel it. We have to release it. But we have to let the good parts move through us too, and not cling to those things and not force it to be what it once was, but let it be the experience that it was and find the other one that's equivalent vibrationally. It's like it's a vibrational wave. It's not a physical wave.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. So to summarize, intuition is cool. Try it sometime. Try to focus on it sometime. I do feel like a quick lightning round. If somebody wanted to deepen their intuition and they wanted like a just one way to do that, one quick way to just
I got it. The first one.
tap it. Go.
Start a daily meditation practice, even if it's like 5 minutes in the morning or at night.
So good.
Yeah. Start listening to what your heart wants for you and stop talking yourself out of that with your brain.
That was good. I like that one. I don't know what I'm going to say, so let me tap into my intuition. The only thing I can think of right in that moment is find your friends who are on the same wavelength.
Yes.
Nice. Snapping. All right, shall we end this stream?
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you guys. Thanks,
Bye.
Crystal, for the question.
Comment and everything, and hearts.
Hearts.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Crystal.
Yeah.